Welcome back, DIYers. Today we're going to try out a new tool I got. It's basically a fancy feather board. It's by Harvey Tools. It's called a Compass Universal Roller Guide, if you will. Now it comes in two versions. I got the one with the four wheels, I should say, and it comes with a two-wheel version. But you'll understand what I mean by that in just a minute. So now before anybody gets real critical, yes, I know that my table saw probably cost less than what this did. This was $200 and some odd. If I can find the price, I'll put it down below, but my table saw cost me $250. So I know that I spent way more on this than my table saw, but I have future plans of getting a nice table saw, and this will work for it. As far as feather boards, and maybe that's not really a good name for this, it's kind of a roller feed, but it's designed to prevent kickback. I've got two other feather boards that don't work with this table saw. I got this really nice mag switch. The problem is it doesn't work on magnesium. It doesn't stick, so that was a letdown. I was really hoping. Then I got this feather board from Hedgehog, and the problem is these little sides here are straight up and down and smooth, and I've got a little T-track here, but when I put this in and tighten it up against the workpiece, you see it slides, so it's kind of worthless in this case. So that brings me to the reason why I got this one. So let's have a look at it. Comes in a really nice box, which I guess for the price it should. Comes with a nice little foam insert on the top of the box, as well as the bottom. It is kind of heavy in construction, that's good. Now the thing that drove me to this is that it's got the T-track to it. It fits in my table saw tracks. And so basically you loosen these knobs, slide it in, put it where you want, lock it down, and set your adjustment. I got the 4-roller version because when I get a nice, newer, fancier table saw and want to put it up on the side like this, I've got nice, good contact with whatever I'm using this for. Now, basically, you can use this with anything that's got a T-track. So if you got a router table that has this type of T-track in it that this will fit in, it'll work for that also. Basically, once you get it in, get it set where you want, you dial in the pressure of the rollers that you want. As I turn that knob, these rollers extend out and they can go in either direction. And you're gonna see it's not gonna completely stop me from being able to pull a board out, but I can tell you it is difficult to pull out. So basically we'll put this in here like this. I'll slide it back, I'll get a piece of lumber here, I'll get my fence set up. Doesn't matter where. That's why I got the blade down all the way so it doesn't interfere. But basically, your blade will come up, you'll set your board, you'll push this against it, and you'll tighten down your knobs. And you see, it won't come out. It's in there. Now, then you turn this knob here and adjust your tension as far as how tight you want it. Now, I can tell you just off the bat that these wheels, to manually try and get them to go back, they do not. They'll roll this direction, but they won't come back. There's actually a direction feed on here. So you see these wheels don't roll back, but they will roll forward. So for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna put the board in there pretty far. I know if your blade's up, you wouldn't do that, or you couldn't. Let's set it to max. And while it pulls, you can see I'm putting a fair bit of pressure back to get that to work, to get it to do that. And to go this direction is much easier. For kickback purposes, especially on max, see it's moving the table to get it to pull out. So in all, I think for kickback purposes, it's gonna be just fine. But we're gonna try it out and see. All right, the first test, I got a few boards I need to rip to 3/4. So I got this set to 0. Got my board in here, I got my fence set. Got my block of wood right up to the blades. As you see, I could do it like this. I'll do it just tight, and then the next time, the next board, I'll jam it in there and see if it makes any difference. And like I say, I'm gonna go max regardless, and that's pretty tight. Got a push stick for safety. Let's give it a whirl. Now with this shorter board, it was a tad tough to get that through there. But I got a couple more that are a little longer. Push this all the way down. Now, when we put this through, it's kind of stiff to do. But what I'm wanting to see is if I compress it like that, is it harder to pull back? Well, yeah, I think that's the way I'll do it from now on. As you can see, I'm pulling the table saw. That's rather tight. With it like that, it's very, very hard to get that thing pushed through. So I am going to loosen it up just a little bit. That's just too tight. Just put it tight against there. Let's go half strength and see how it is. The nice thing is when you do tighten it, it does lock it into that T-track, which keeps it in place. And for this, I'm just setting it against there and keeping it light pressure to keep it tight against the board. I'm not pushing real hard. That was much better. It's still kind of hard to push through, but that's basically probably what you want. But that worked a lot better. And remember, that was on half strength. Okay, so I got some plywood I got to rip down. We'll use this and set it for that. It's a little thinner material, and see how that works. All right, I got the plywood set up where I want. Again, slide this in. Just plywood up here. Get your roller set to it. Honestly, that pushed through pretty easy. The hardest part really is when you have to feed. These rollers have to push back a little bit to get it in, but once it's in, it actually fed pretty good. Like I say, this isn't designed like some of these feather boards you'll see. You can put them in there, crank them down, and you can't get it pulled back, obviously. I think this is just mainly designed as a roller feed to keep things straight, or to keep things against the fence. But at the same time, it also is going to help with kickback. And as you saw, I mean, it takes a little bit to get this to pull out. And I think, you know, from the little experience I've had with kickback on a table saw, I think this is going to work just fine. So I'll leave a link down below to this tool if you want to go check it out. And there'll be a link up here if you want to know more about this table saw. So until next time, happy DIYing.